Danny Doyle's going to be coming up again right now, but before he does, he's going to be joined by a gentleman who has been at the top of this industry for the last 24 years. Top level in not just one, but two companies. Has a track record of not just being at the top, but being there because he's pushed so many people up there before him. He is also the man, the friend that Danny will tell you about, who just put in a caring call and not just changed, but perhaps even saved Danny Doyle's life. It is Bart Kotter, triple diamond ASEA and founding Diamond of Australia. Could you please put your hands together for Bart Kotter and Danny Doyle?
Is everybody having a good time? Good, good. We're going to wake up your redox signaling molecules. Clap your hands hard 3 times. Whoa! How are they? They're awake? Excellent. All right, guys. We've made a lot of mistakes when building this business, and this is a very important part, and you really don't want to make mistakes like we did. So we're going to talk about piquing interest. We're going to talk about edification, and we're going to talk about some scripts. Over to you, Bart.
So really it's just a simple 1, 2, 3 process. A lot of times people want to reinvent the wheel. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. We're going to show you a shortcut to how to really keep your business simple, duplicatable, and substantially increase the success of your business. So look, found a long time ago that if you want to be successful, you find the people who have been successful and then you model or duplicate what they've done. How many of you would like to be as successful as Danny? Okay, does it make sense to do what he's done? Okay, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So it's as simple as 1, 2, 3. And one of the things that we want to do is this 3-way process. It's all about edification process. So this is you, and you always want to bring, you've got your friends, you've got a trust relationship with the people that you know. But the people that know me, for example, they know me as, if I'm going to talk to my brother, I'm just their little brother Bart. Or people that know me from whatever it is that I've done, they don't look at me as a redox signaling expert, even if I've been doing this for a little while. And it was interesting that even the doctors that were on stage yesterday, did you notice that they said, we put them on the phone with somebody else? Did you notice that? They're the experts, right? But with their people, they're not. So here's the thing. You've got your friend, and you want to edify the expert. You want to bring on someone who has more knowledge. That expert can be your upline, it can be a crossline, it can be someone but it's not you, okay? So best if you bring on somebody that has a little bit more experience, a little bit more knowledge, but it's definitely someone else. Now, the expert's job, they're also going to help to edify you. You're creating a synergy that you're doing something fun. You're working this together. And this whole 3-way process just makes it a whole lot more fun when you're building your business, and it will increase your success significantly.
Guys, this is one of the most critical parts of building your business. 3-way calls you should be doing all day, every day, and fitting it into all those little white spots in your diary. And if you're not doing it right, if you're not doing it, your business won't build. It's probably about 95% of your business.
You've got a story when you talked with one of your family members that just couldn't figure it out.
You're saying I look like that? So when I got back from Salt Lake City, from Utah, after having major wins in 48 hours with my health, I was very excited. I went straight back to my family, and we had an auntie in particular with a very serious health challenge. So they only told us she had about this problem about 2 months prior. And I spoke to my uncle about it, and going to him excited, I spilled my guts about redox signaling molecules, the science, the breakthrough, the technology. And as Bart said, he only knew me as little Danny growing up and going to school, playing sports, and then going into building traditional businesses. He didn't know me as somebody that sounded like an atomic medical physicist. I said the other night on a webinar, I'm not. There's only 5 of them in the world, and Dr. Gary Samuelson is one of them. We can't be seen or heard to sound like scientists. We're not scientists. We may have actually, you guys have got more knowledge than 7 billion people on the planet about redox signaling molecules and this breakthrough. But unfortunately, we've always got to use a third party. So 3 years down the track, or 3.5 years down the track, my poor auntie's in a wheelchair. My uncle still won't, even though I want to give them the product to her or even tell her about it. So a situation where she's not going to be here in about 6 months. But these are the critical mistakes you can't be making. You just got to make sure that you say the right thing, which we're going to give you some scripts today, but also what I should have done is brought Bart in to talk to my uncle, because I'm sure right now she wouldn't be in that wheelchair or have the issues that she's got. So just keep that in mind when you're talking to anybody. It's what comes out of your mouth that's the critical language that's going to get somebody onto the product. And if you do it the right way, 8 out and 9 out of 10 times, they will get onto the product. If you handle the conversation yourself, you've probably only got a 10-20% chance of that happening.
Yeah, absolutely. So your goal is to simply pique interest, edify the expert, get them to an expert as quick as possible. So the benefits of using an expert, or as I like how Danny says it, a global authority, is to create synergy. So the expert, their job is you want to let them know that you're working with a fun group of people, that you're having a great time, you're helping people, you're making a difference. There's some amazing people that are involved with this company. It's all about creating synergy. It also lends credibility to what you're talking about. So it's a natural thing for people to look for a reason why not to do something, or to put down your credibility. But when you've got an expert, which can be, they say a prophet isn't a prophet in his own land. He's got an expert is somebody with, years ago I heard a briefcase that lived more than 50 miles or 100 miles away. It's somebody else that can lend a third-party validation credibility. And the interesting thing about this, Melissa pointed this out in her presentation that she did, that when you use an expert, you do third-party validation like this, your results are going to improve significantly. How would you like to increase your results from 10 or 20% to 80 or 90%? Say aye. Okay? It will make a difference. Is it worth it? Okay? And again, this validates you. So the expert's going to, as you're on the call, hey, we're having fun. We're working this together. I'm really enjoying working with Danny. If I was doing a three-way with his auntie or whatever. So that's how that works.
Oh, here we go. I'd like to talk about mount presentation and mount invitation. So you've got these two guys walking out onto this platform. Now, what you need to try and do is get anybody you're talking to, anybody that you want to help, from piquing interest, inviting them to a presentation. And you don't want to be walking across this platform just with the person that you're talking to, the person you're trying to help, because this is the platform or the bridge of no return. Once you walk out onto this platform, there's no turning back. So if you start talking about things that are going to confuse them, you are both going to fall off this platform. And once you fall off this platform, you may never get them back. So we've got to think about while you're talking to people is, if you start saying too much as you're walking onto this platform, if you fall off, there could be someone in their lives that need this technology desperately. And unfortunately, because you've said too much, it's going to be your fault that you guys, both of you, will fall off this, and you may never get them back. It could take a month, 6 months, 2 years, or never. And then can you imagine the impact it would have on his life or her life, but also their families, if you said the right thing. Okay, so this is what you don't talk about. You never mention the word mitochondria, redox signaling molecules. You don't start talking about the technology. I never even mention the word ASEA now, because people will go do a search on it, a Google search. You know, with that search engine, not the research engine, what's going to come up? All sorts of things, backed by certain people that don't want this product or technology out there. So we're going to give you some scripts, but just write these words down and say, this is me. It's totally up to you what you do. I don't mention the word ASEA, the mitochondria, redox signaling molecules. I don't talk about the science. I don't talk about the technology. People go, well, what do you talk about? We're going to hear what we talk about.
Well, and there is a point for the technology, but when you bring that expert on, that's their job to kind of answer those questions and help that. Now, as we go through some of these scripts, you may want to take some screenshots, because they can be a really powerful way that you can help to do that.
I never mentioned network marketing, never mentioned the compensation plan. If people do happen to mention network marketing, I've got to get into a conversation. I wouldn't be involved in anything else now, but I say, it is, but it's bigger than you, it's bigger than me, it's bigger than the company, and this is our purpose-filled mission. You really need to know about this, so don't dismiss it just because it is that business model. This is the bridge you want to cross. This is the solid bridge. This is you bringing a third-party expert to edify what you're saying. So we're going to go through some scripts that's going to allow you to pique interest enough to get to a global authority, a world authority, or an expert. I always use the words world authority. It just sounds big.
Doesn't that picture look a whole lot better than the first one? That's a lot better than the bridge of no return.
All right, so I'm not going to look at this because this will confuse me. I just say it rolls off the tongue. And, you know, it's amazing when it comes to these scripts or what you do say. The more you plug in, the more you listen to, the more you hear, the more things will just roll off your tongue. All of a sudden you'll say something, think, where did that come from? You have to be concerned about saying the single greatest health science, anti-aging and sports performance breakthrough of our lifetime. But now I'll close my meetings with the single greatest health science, anti-aging and sports performance breakthrough of our lifetime. There's no supplement or skincare range on the planet that comes close to what this does for the human body, because these molecules are the body's weapon of choice, which makes us see the most compelling opportunity in the world right now. You're going to remember that one. The more you say it, the more you engage in saying it, the more you talk about it, the more it's going to roll off your tongue. So I'm not going to confuse myself with looking at this.
Let me just touch bases on this, if I may, for a second. The one thing I love about this script is you're handling people's objection right from the very beginning. Because what is people's biggest objection? Time. I don't have time, right? Hey, Danny, I know you're extremely busy. You don't have any extra time whatsoever. But if I knew a way that could generate some extra income without changing your schedule whatsoever, would you want to know about it?
9 out of 10 people, whether they're accountants, solicitors, professional people, will say, yeah, absolutely. If I can earn additional income without taking time out of what I'm doing, why wouldn't I look at it? And then you've got to get them to a world authority. You still don't want to have a conversation yourself because you know these people too well. You're contacting them because they're in your database. So you can just move on from there and say, hey, listen, I've come across a breakthrough technology that's helping people with their health challenges, which has created the biggest opportunity that I've ever seen. I don't know too much about the science, but a friend of mine is an expert on the breakthrough, but also on the opportunity. So you roll it into that.
That's exactly what you just went through.
So this one here is like if you're approaching somebody who might be a friend, a family member, someone who you want to pique interest enough that's not in business or successful in life, who's made a lot of money. So I'd come along and say, Bart, I've come across a breakthrough technology that's helping people with their health challenges. They're saying it's the biggest breakthrough in health in our lifetime. I don't know too much about the science, but I've got a friend of mine who's a world authority. Now, he's a very busy man, but I might be able to get him on the phone for 10 minutes. You really need to hear about this for the sake of you and your loved ones.
Sounds interesting.
So at that point, I would say, listen, because I'm taking it away a little bit too. He's a very busy man, but I might be able to get him on the phone for 10 minutes. And Bart's like, well, I want to get on the phone and listen to this guy. So you're taking it away a little bit. And then you've got to say to them, well, listen, I've got to go back to him because he's flat out. Now, I know you're flat out too, but take it back to the world authority and come back with a time or times that suit. So I normally say to the team, listen, just come back to me with, half a dozen times during the week, and I'll fit those times in with my schedule and then go back to them and book it in.
Successful people will actually be more excited to talk with another successful person than even to hear about an opportunity or hear about a product. People like connecting with successful people. So when you really edify that expert, is, hey, I know that they're really busy, but I bet you I can catch them for a few minutes. And if we go back here one slide, let's invite Alan up on the stage here with us.
Yeah, Alan Fitzgerald's come across a really basic, simple script. I mean, you guys will end up making your own as long as you're not using those words. So let's get Alan up because this is a great one.
Give Alan a hand. I tell you, this guy is phenomenal at getting people to meetings. He is a master at working the phone, and this little script here has worked pretty well. So just tell us what you do, Alan.
Just as I say this here, just listen to what I say, and sometimes what I don't say is very powerful. So I'll say, listen, if there was something that could allow you to live longer and healthier, with a better quality of life as you age, would you want to know about it?
How simple is that?
And I pause through part of that sentence to let it sink in. And I get a very good response. Thank you.
Perfect. Give him a hand.
Well done. Thank you. This is another little one. Listen, we're expanding around the globe now, as you know. We're going into Asia. So, you've got hundreds of contacts in your phones or thousands, or even if you've got a dozen. It's just going to pique someone's interest. So if you just say to them, hey, listen, I'm expanding a global business into Asia, you wouldn't happen to know anybody in Asia, would you? In Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore. What do you think they're going to ask you? What is it? Then all of a sudden you're in a conversation, aren't you? You've just made it easy for yourself. Well, where are you going to leave that conversation to? An expert, world authority. So you're going to say the same thing. Come across a health breakthrough that's helping people with their health challenges, saying it's the biggest breakthrough in health in their lifetime. Don't know too much about the science, but a friend of mine's a world authority. It's the biggest opportunity because of how big this breakthrough is. So there's, and guys, just get it to the, take it away from you as quickly as you can. Do not handle conversation. Do not get into a conversation. I know so many people that are still doing it today, and 3 to nearly 4 years later, they should be at ranks up here, and they're still at Director 300, 700. So the more you handle things yourself, the more you think you can handle things yourself, the more you know. I mean, I think Larry was talking about analysis paralysis before, and people wanting to know the ins and outs of a duck's guts. The more you know, the more you're going to talk. Keep that knowledge to yourself. Act dumb if you have to, and just get them to a world authority.
I want to point something else out on this. Did you notice Trish, when she talked yesterday, she talked about I declare. She declares certain things, like I am this. So this script says I am building a global business. So, it's interesting just from an affirmation standpoint. You're putting it out there, right? Look, the previous company I was with, I honestly didn't know anybody that lived outside the United States. But I just decided I was going to build and ended up having the largest organization in all of Europe. And it was just because you know people who know people. So it doesn't matter who you know. You may not know anybody in Asia, but you know people who do, right? Or you know people who know people that do. And so you're focused on creating a global expansion. The idea is to work local and build global. So it's just kind of have that perspective of putting it out there. So when you're edifying an expert, a couple things you want to do is, first of all, does everybody know how to do a three-way phone call? I found it kind of interesting that some people don't. But if you don't, you don't know how to do it. It's so simple, we're not going to go through the details, but right on your phone, it's add a call and merge. So if you've got a smartphone, it's so simple. Don't let that roadblock hang you up. If you haven't done it before, just get with anybody and they'll show you exactly how to do it. If you're on one of those old-fashioned phones, you just hit the flash button like you're hanging up and you can add another call on. So it's so simple.
And just to clarify, it may not just be on a phone. Zoom calls, webinars, they're the third-party expert. Take it away from you and take it to these platforms.
With technology, Zoom is like Skype except for better. So if you haven't used Zoom, zoom.us, not zoom.com, but zoom.us, you can download it right on your phone. You can use it from your iPad. You can use it on your computer. And it can be like a face-to-face conversation where you can build even more rapport and create more synergy. So it's pretty easy to do. It's a great way to make an even better connection, for sure. The other thing is make sure that you always properly edify. If I'm going to have Danny on a call with me, I'm going to build him up to be a god. This guy is 10 feet tall, and he is a global phenomenon. I mean, the guy's amazing. And whether it's Danny or somebody else, I'm going to do my best to let that person know that this is really an amazing person, because we're all amazing, right? And the person that you're going to edify them, the person that you're going to be edifying, you really want to build them up. The other thing is, please listen to this. Let your expert do the talking. I'm seeing some heads nod. Okay? Sometimes if you're having a conversation, I've been on a three-way, there can sometimes even be an uncomfortable pause if the expert asks a question. Don't jump in. Let the expert do the talking. And that uncomfortable pause might be, hey, are you ready to get started? The one that talks first loses kind of thing. So don't jump. Well, you don't have, just let the expert do the talking. The other thing is don't interrupt talk unless about it. Kind of goes with the previous one. And when the expert is finished, go ahead and hang up. Unless, the expert is ready to get on. And if that person is ready to go ahead and place an order, get started, enroll, go ahead and enroll them. Just say, okay, hey, I'm going to let Danny, I'm going to let you jump off the phone. I'm going to go ahead and get this person started. Or if I was doing if I was being the expert and, hey, this person's ready to place an order, hey, Danny, I'm going to go ahead and jump off the call. Go ahead and log in, get them started.
Open up an account.
Yeah, open
order
up an
product.
account.
Yep.
Exactly. So, and just role play a little bit with the expert. You know, hey, what are some things about your past that you can share? So as a general rule of thumb, when you're edifying an expert, now quite often I'll do this just before the three-way phone call. You want to talk about the expert's past, their past success, their current success, where they're going with this, and their character. So if I was going to be introducing Danny, I would just say, look, he's been a very successful entrepreneur for years. He's currently recognized as one of the global leaders and the global experts in this technology. In fact, he's expanding he's heading up the global expansion of ASEA worldwide. And the best part about it, he's just an amazing guy. He's just really down to earth. All right? So just use that as a rule of thumb. Put it in your own words or talk with the expert. Hey, tell me a little bit about your past, current success, and you've got sort of some bullet points. And so there you go. You're covering the edification script just a little bit.
I've come across a breakthrough that has created an incredible opportunity. I don't know much about the science, but I have a friend of mine who is a world authority, not only on the breakthrough, but also on the opportunity. You really need to know about this for the sake of you and your loved ones. He's a really busy man, but I might be able to get him on the phone for about 10 minutes.
So this is recapping kind of what we went over before, just a very quick and simple way to do that. So, excuse me. So here's the thing. You guys are also an expert, right? Like Danny pointed out, you know more than the 7 million other people on the planet. So you can be an expert for your people, all right? So I want you to think, I'm stepping into the role of the expert now. What is it that you want to cover? What is it that you want to make sure that you talk with that person? The most important thing is to build rapport and convey vision, and you're there to answer their questions. So it depends on who you're talking to. If Danny was going to be doing a three-way and someone had a major health challenge, you're going to be talking to him not about the business, right? You're going to be talking to him about what?
And just the product. Yes, so somebody with a health challenge, never mention the business. And don't forget, when you're talking about third-party edification, you can use your upline, your downline. Bart's using me for a lot of calls, and I use my downline for calls as well. I can call on Lorraine or Mal. Anybody in the business can do these calls with you. Anybody, as long as it's a third party. Get it away from you.
So the second point on here, huge potential. When you're talking about, this is simply validating. When you're validating the company, what are you also validating? You're validating the product. You're validating the technology. Hey, the company is rock solid, stable. It's got some amazing people behind it. It's an incredible breakthrough. So those are a couple points that you could roll into that.
Timing, yeah, it is all about timing, guys. We're at the beginning of a 3 to 5 year global expansion plan. There's not many of us on the planet that know about this. Out of 300,000 people, there's 100,000 people on the product, round about. If we look at 30-40% retention, we have got the highest retention out of any company on the planet. I don't know if you know the stats on that. Every other company, the average retention, customer retention, auto ship retention runs at about 10%. We run 30 to 40. If you don't make the same mistakes we made, you go through this process, you get people on the product, can use product properly, get them to commit for 3 months, your retention should be a lot higher again. So these are the little things that you can be telling these people, just as far as where the company's at, to make what you're putting on the table for them rock solid.
And the other thing when you're talking to people, you want to give them a vision of where this is going. So it's about positioning. I mean, literally right now, I would tell people, I said, look, this business model is based on a few key people opening some doors and making some connections who will receive a percentage of the revenue that's of the global growth or the growth in that area. So you're talking about the positioning. If I'm talking to somebody, for example, in Sydney, hey, we're expanding that particular marketplace right now. We're looking for a few key people that could open some doors, make some connections. And for doing that, they'll receive the benefit of the volume, the business that's going to be created underneath them. And that's going to be massive in the future.
And everybody around the world is jealous of us because we are the gateway to Asia. I didn't know. I met Winnie, But when he's got a massive team in Hong Kong, I only just started meeting them 4 weeks ago. Didn't know anybody in Hong Kong. But this is the way this business grows. It's very exciting times.
Let people know that it's simple. Anybody can do it. You don't need to change your lifestyle. You just need to open some doors, make some connections, and do that. Simple. Anybody can do it. It works. So when you're communicating this message, that's exactly the message that you want to convey. It's simple. It's easy. Anybody, it's simple. Anybody can do it, and it works. All right? It's not necessarily easy. Sometimes picking up the phone can feel like a 500-pound phone, can it? But it's simple. It's simple, but not necessarily easy. But how do you make it easy? Just through practice. All right? But you really want to look for connecting with your key people. Now, something that is also really, really important that we want to share with you is the expert in the house call. Now, this is something that we just started, and I'm really excited because we're teaming up with all of the diamonds in Australia, and Justin, Nicole, and their team, Sally Diamond. Let's see, the first call, Melissa and I did, Danny did a call last week, and we basically, here's the deal. What we do is we do the call every Wednesday 3 different times. So 5, 7, and let's see. Yeah, 5, 7, and 8 Queensland time. So this works for people who are in New Zealand, people who are in Perth. Someone talked to me yesterday. She said, I got my Singapore team plugged into these calls, and the feedback is just fantastic. So our goal with these calls is to keep them short and sweet. I mean, ideally 30 minutes, 30, 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes kind of max. And Danny did a brilliant job last week on those calls last Wednesday and put a little bit of training into it of what it takes to build this. So for someone who's brand new looking at this, we're going to cover the technology, cover the stores, the story of the product, our journey to it, and a little bit where this is going, what it takes. So this is all another great way to edify an expert to have them plug into this Zoom call. So that Advancing Life intro website redirects them directly to the Zoom link. So if you haven't used that, how many of you plugged into these? Have you liked them? Okay, let's leverage those and make these really big. We've upgraded the platform, so instead of maxing out at 100, we can fill it up with 500. What do you say we fill it up?
So who's on next week?
And, yeah, thank you. Next week, this coming Wednesday, is David He. So how would you like to hear a little Asian perspective and someone who got to diamond in, what do you say, 11 months?
Oh, ridiculous, whatever it was.
Unbelievable. I mean, yes. Advancing Life.
Oh, intro.com.
Advancing Life Intro.
AdvancingLifeIntro.com.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Good pick up.
Yeah, Advancing Life Intro. INTRO. Okay.
So there's going to be different diamonds on there. We're on a rotating roster. We're having it once a week. How many of you guys want it to be diamonds? Well, hurry up because we can have one every day if you do.
Yeah, so that it's all a rotating schedule. Hey, thank you guys. Let's rock.
Thank you, Dan and Bart. Thank you.